Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Hope you're having an awesome day. So, the question, why are some habits so hard to break? You say to yourself, today's the day. Today I'm going to start eating healthy or exercising or whatever the case may be. And then 1 week later, you're like, damn it, I failed again. So, in this video, I'm going to tell you how to really change your habits and in turn change your life. So, stick around. All right, guys, I want you to think about your daily routine. When you wake up in the morning, you probably follow a certain routine, right? You check your phone, you check your email, maybe get a glass of water, hopefully, and probably get some coffee. Throughout the day, other habits will run their course, even if you're not fully aware of them. Actually, most things that happen throughout the day happen automatically without much thought at all. Essentially, habits run your life. So, again, if you want to change your life, you need to change your habits. I'm not going to waste all your time with the hows and whys of habits and brain function, but I'll briefly summarize as best as I can so we can get to the good stuff. But this is still important, and I'll tell you why in a minute. So, when you first learn something new, that learning occurs in the cerebrum. This is where your complex functions happen. That part of the brain uses a ton of energy, so in an effort to become more efficient, the brain will kick those activities that we do over and over and over again to another part of the brain called the basal ganglia. Now, activities in the basal ganglia are more like automatic responses. That is when something truly becomes a habit, and at that point, it's very, very difficult to dislodge. So that knowledge will come into play in a moment. The real key to changing your life is something called the habit loop. This is really how habits work once they're formed. There are three components to the habit loop. You have the cue, the routine, and the reward. The cue is a trigger. For example, think of your favorite restaurant. Now, imagine driving by it. You know that feeling you just got? That's called a trigger. A cue or trigger puts your brain into autopilot mode, and you just want to stop and eat there and get that tasty food that you're craving. So you're no longer making decisions, you're kind of on autopilot. The cues that put you into autopilot mode can be almost anything. They can be feelings or thoughts, or they can even be external things like the time of the day or an object, or even a picture can trigger you to act out your habit. The routine is the next part of the habit loop. This is the behavior that you do once you've been triggered. So if the trigger was driving by the restaurant, then the routine is actually eating in the restaurant. Simple, right? The routine is simply the behavior that will lead to a reward, to the thing you're craving. Now again, the reward is why we do that particular habit, right? So we do all that stuff so we can get the tasty, delicious burger, for example. So I'm getting hungry just actually thinking about this, guys. But the reward can be anything. It can be physical, like food. It can be emotional, like, wanting to be happy or reduce stress, and so on. So let me recap with a personal example of mine. And then I'll show you how you can break and modify this loop. So my personal example is coffee. I love my coffee in the morning. I wake up in the morning, that's my cue. And yes, simply waking up is a cue, as is with most people who drink coffee. So again, that's my trigger. I go drink my coffee, that's my routine. And then my reward is that sweet, sweet caffeine. Love it. So take a second and see if you can identify any habit loops that you have. Think about your triggers. This can be difficult at first because you may not even be aware of them. So really reflect on what your cues and triggers are. Okay, so now that you understand all that, we can start to do two things. One, create new habits, and two, change old habits. So first, let's talk about creating new habits. So the simplest and most effective way to create a new habit is by tying it to a specific time of day or to an existing activity. As mentioned earlier, we all have specific things we do in the morning. Most people implement their new habits into their morning routine with a lot of success, especially because that is when our willpower is at its highest. It can be at any time of the day, but mornings work best. Another great way to build in new habits is to tie it to an existing activity. So something that you already do on a daily basis. For example, I have a pull-up bar near the bathroom. So every time I go to the bathroom, I do a couple pull-ups. Simple, right? I don't even have to think about it. Another one of my examples is that I want to give more thanks more often. So I think it's really important to express gratitude. So I tied it to eating, which people have been doing for thousands of years, right? You say grace before you eat. So every time you're about to eat, you think, oh, it's gratitude time. Some people choose to do it while they're getting ready for bed, and that works too. So you can tie any new activity to any existing thing that you already do, and this will make it so much easier to stick to a new habit. So make sure it's something that you do consistently and on a daily basis. Also, make sure that whatever you pick is specific and actionable. The other big thing I want to talk about is changing existing habits. This is the really tough one, right? We do things we know are bad for us and we continue to do them anyway. And then you beat yourself up and ask, why? Why can't I stop doing this? I keep trying, it's just not working. So let me know some of the bad habits that you want to eliminate in the comments below. So the $1,000,000 question, right? How can we get rid of the bad habits and stick to the good ones? Bad habits usually provide some kind of benefit, whether that be a way to deal with stress or boredom, or maybe it's an avoidance strategy. So it can be difficult to stop doing them because although they're bad for you, they are providing you with some type of benefit in one way or another. So remember the habit loop, right? The real secret to eliminating your bad habits is by keeping the same benefit, but replacing the routine. So you can't eliminate bad habits easily. So you replace them instead, right? That's really the secret. So stick with me here. So the cue and the reward, for the most part, are kept the same. All you're doing is replacing that activity, the routine, in the middle. So again, you're just replacing the bad habit with a new habit that gives you a similar benefit. So let's say you want to quit smoking. What's the cue? Maybe it's stress. So you just find a different way to deal with the stress. For example, I'm at work, right? And I'm getting stressed out over some project, and I say to myself, you know what? I need a cigarette to relax. That's my cue. My new routine will be going for a walk, which works wonderfully, by the way. And the reward in this case will be less stress, more relaxed, and so on. It obviously won't be easy at first, but once you do it consistently over and over, it will become a new habit, and you won't have to think much about it at all. So whatever your bad habits are, just find a new way to replace the routine in that habit with a more healthy behavior. There are a lot of psychological reasons to why we keep doing these bad habits. For example, it might be limiting self-beliefs, fear, or something deeper. So that aspect does require some self-reflection. Start investigating your habit loops by doing some self-analysis. You want to analyze why you do the things you do. You want to question your actions and ask yourself, when do your bad habits happen? Who are you with? Where are you? And what are the triggers? You really want to find out which habits are serving you and which ones are not. Then you can come up with a list of habits you want to change and make a plan. If that all seems too daunting to begin with, simply start by tracking it alone. Just pay attention to your habits. That's it. And it will take time and effort, so don't be too hard on yourself. You will fail, you will have self-doubt, but keep going. I used to smoke and I tried quitting well over 20 times. I failed over 20 times before I actually succeeded. So just keep trying and do not give up. Once you get going, make sure you have a plan for potential obstacles. Let's say you're trying to stop eating junk food so you can lose a couple pounds for the summer. The very next day, as is always the case, you walk into work and see a nice, tasty box of donuts, or someone offers you a free snack. It happens every single time you start a diet for some crazy reason, and I think it's the universe's way of testing your ass. So you have to identify your weaknesses and anticipate those challenges beforehand. Come up with a plan on how you're going to handle those types of situations. You have to have a plan for what you'll do instead of that bad habit. So instead of eating that tasty dessert, have kind of like a backup healthy snack and tasty in your desk ready to go. Eventually, it won't take much to resist the treats that are sabotaging your plans for weight loss. When you always use these alternate plans consistently over and over and over again, they will become automatic. You'll also want to get rid of as many potential triggers as possible. If you're trying to eat healthy, for example, get the junk food out of your house, right? Makes sense. Having snacks in the house will make it way harder, and it will deplete your willpower, and you'll eventually cave in. Or if your drinking is a trigger for smoking, as was my case, then avoid drinking for a while. So now that you understand how habits work, you have the knowledge and the power to change them. So here are a couple parting tips for you. 1, you must believe that you can make the change that you want in your life. Number 2 is to start small and make it easy, right? Get some small wins to help you build that momentum up. Small wins will help you believe that change is possible for you. So if you have a goal to work out, just go for 10 minutes a day. Just start small. You don't have to go all crazy and be like, I'm going to go to the gym for 3 hours and get jacked, bro. No, start small, guys. Number 3 is you will have to use some willpower to install your habits initially, but they will eventually become automatic. So just stick with it. Number 4 is to ask yourself, do you have a strong reason why you want to start or change a habit? A strong why will really help you push through the tough times. Number 5, embrace the process of starting a new habit. The first 20 days will be rough, but stick with it, and eventually around 30 days in, it will become a habit. But you got to get through the suck first. All right, guys, that's it. Get out there, make some new habits, make some changes, find out which habits are weighing you down, and take action. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. Take it easy, and I'll see you guys next time.